Hello, welcome to Reaction Shots for the month of November. 2018.
20-odd-8.
20-odd-8.
Or 2-odd.
2-odd. Oh, yeah.
odd.
20-odd-8 would be the year 20,018.
So, yeah.
20... What did we... Whatever.
I don't know. The only reason I know aught is because that's what they call the sniper rounds in Deus Ex, the original. Like 30-odd-6.
30-odd-6. 16 shells from a 30-odd-6. That's a Tom Waits song that I like.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm Ian Hink. This is Michael Huber. This is
Hello.
Reaction Shots, a film podcast where we generally just kind of start by talking about years and numbers.
I thought you were going to say a film posse.
Film posse.
But you said film podcast.
Well, you and I are a posse. We're a film
Can
posse.
two people be a posse?
I don't know.
Like, what's the limit there?
Probably you need at least 3 people to form a posse. I wonder what the actual...
Love a good posse.
Yeah, I love a good posse. This month we are discussing Westerns, as you might have noticed from the title of the episode, and from us talking about posses just now.
Yep.
But first, before we get into that, we like to just jump into what have you liked lately? Kind of agnostic, not involved necessarily with the topic for the month, but just anything. Huber, have you seen anything lately that you've liked?
Last thing I saw in the theater, I saw Halloween, which I talked about, but then I saw A Star Is Born.
Oh, yeah.
Which was okay. It was all right.
I've heard only good things. I don't have an interest in seeing it, but
it's good. It's good. Maybe, anytime. That's why I like seeing movies straight away, because anytime you see it 2-3 weeks down the line, you see that Rotten Tomatoes score, you see all the buzz, everyone's hyped. You go in with a little more expectations. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I don't know.
What didn't you like about it?
If I say what I didn't like about it, it'll kind of spoil it. But a lot of the stuff to me didn't feel earned.
Okay.
A lot of the character interactions. I just had a problem with the characters. I didn't feel like the gripping emotion. You would have these scenes between these people. Like the relationship, obviously, between Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. They're whether they're like loving each other or like arguing or whatever. Just like wasn't in it. Didn't feel it in my heart, my gut.
I see.
So I came out kind of just
Do you think that was a problem with the script or the acting?
Yeah,
or?
I honestly can't put my finger on it because it was shot really well. I love Bradley Cooper. Lady Gaga is awesome, and the music was great.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, and the music was good. The plot, you had like Sam Elliott show up in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nice. So like everything on paper and on the screen was good. That's why I say it was fine, because everything was good. But I walked out and I was just like, I didn't feel what I was expecting or wanted to feel, I guess. Like I should have been more emotional, but I wasn't.
Bummer.
So maybe that was on me.
Have you seen anything else lately that you've liked?
Speaking of Bradley Cooper, I always have a nice eating show with my beautiful wife. We have our eating shows for like when she comes home from work or before work, whatever it may be.
I always find that I eat too quickly I'll put on a show that I've seen before. Yeah. Because after 10 minutes, I'm done, and then I can turn it off. Yeah,
we do the same. Like, we'll eat it'll take us 15, 20 minutes, but then we, like, digest for the rest of the episode. Okay. Been watching Alias.
Oh. Wait, is Bradley Cooper in that?
Yeah.
What?
Dude, a lot of people are in it.
I didn't know. I love those old shows. Like, there's that episode of X-Files with both Seth Green and Jack Black in it, and you're just like, huh?
Yeah. Like, John Locke showed up as, like, CIA, like...
You know what else John Locke is in?
Patriot! See that billboard?
There's a billboard?
There's a billboard on my way home where he's like floating in water. It's like Patriot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I kid you not.
I'm gonna watch it, dude. Before the year's up. I said before the year's up.
Favorite show, Huber.
Before the year's up. I promise.
I will bet you. I will make you a bet.
Promise.
That it'll be one of your favorite shows.
Okay.
If it's not one of your favorite shows, I will watch season 1 of Vikings.
Okay.
And you know what? No stakes if it's not for you. Okay. No stakes.
I'll watch
Friendly
it.
wager.
I promise I'll watch it.
Season 2 of Patriot comes back November 9th.
Oh,
I don't know
2 days.
I know, it's like Friday.
Yeah.
Like you could listen to this podcast and then watch Patriot.
Sick.
I don't know if they're doing the Netflix thing where the whole season comes out or if it's weekly, but either way, I am so excited.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
just, I don't know, it's just such a good I know I talk about Patriot all the time,
Yeah.
but like
No, dude.
the tone is so, it's right in my wheelhouse.
I need to watch it because I sit here and scream about like Gotham and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all the time.
Right.
Like some of my favorite shows.
Right.
You're doing the same with Patriot. I gotta respect that. I gotta
Though,
respect the love.
To be fair, I have never watched Gotham or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of you.
You don't need to. You don't need. It's just my own personal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Sorry,
Like,
but
I bet Patriot's like actually like quality.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I jumped on your.
No. Yeah, just
Alias.
I'd never seen it. I'm in season 2. It's wacky. It's wacky. Crazy plot.
Who's the main?
Jennifer
Garner. That's right. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, is that Jennifer Garner?
Jennifer Garner hype.
What show is Alias? J.J. Abrams also
Abrams. Yep.
is. Did he also do Felicity?
I don't.
One of his shows, I think it was Felicity or something, that it was totally normal, and then the last episode was just like crazy, like
Yeah.
sci-fi or something.
Whoa.
I can't remember what show it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alias is more like techno anyway,
Yeah.
so I don't think it was that one. but
Alias gets weird.
Yeah?
I'm like almost done with the second season. It's
I never watched it.
really weird. Some good action. Like
Yeah?
obviously it's dated. You know,
Yeah.
it's like early 2000s.
Are there any good hacking sequences?
A lot of hacking.
I love a good like late 90s hack.
Dude, and there's the guy from he's in Runaways. He's one of the dads.
Okay.
He's kind of like the nerdy dad. It's like him and
yeah.
the botanist.
The bot,
people.
yeah. I like him in that.
He's the like tech expert at the CIA that does all the
Sure.
hacking, and he does all the like gadgets,
I
like
could
Q
picture,
style.
Yeah, I can picture him doing that very
Yeah.
well.
It's just an easy watch. It's fun. Jennifer Garner kicks ass, dude. It's cool.
Has she done anything in a while?
She did because we'd started it a little while ago, and Peppermint came out, that movie.
Oh, I
from
saw
the
a
director
billboard
of,
for that.
from the director of Taken,
Oh.
and it was 2 thumbs down.
Oh boy.
Real bad. No, not her fault. It's just one of those movies where like every time there's an action scene, it's pitch black, hard cuts,
Camera moving all over the place.
moving all over the
green
place.
grass and all over the damn place.
Yeah, no stakes to the action. You can't even decipher what's going on. There's no, spatial relations. It's just all the action scenes were let down.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Venom suffered from that,
Yeah.
which was a bummer.
It's good action and there's bad action.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have you, I can't remember, did you watch, you have not yet seen Haunting of Hill House.
Have not seen Haunting. Have not seen any. Dude, my queue right now for Netflix is insane because
yeah.
all these directors have come out with these huge movies. You have Solner with Hold the Dark.
I have not yet seen Hold the Dark.
You have
Very
Gareth
much
Evans
excited for
with
that.
Apostle. He did The Raid.
Right, with, that's with Dan Stevens. Yeah,
and then you
I wanna
have
watch that
dude,
too.
Paul Greengrass
The
has a movie. 11/22 or 11 July.
About July 21, 21 July.
Yeah, like
It's
real.
it's about the shooting in Norway. Yeah.
Yeah. So all these directors.
Sophia's Norwegian, so she really
Did she
wanted to
watch
watch it. She wanted to watch it with me,
dude.
but like, it was on like a day where I'd just come home from us like filming all day, and I was just like, I
Not
don't
prepared.
really want to watch that at this time.
Because I watched United 93 for
Yeah,
the
I
first
saw that. I
time
saw that, yeah.
on 9/11 a few years ago.
Wow.
I just did it. I was like, dude, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And
I actually did not dislike that movie. It was a very intense movie.
Yeah. That movie made me weep,
Yeah,
dude.
very
So I'm like
intense.
nervous about.
Oh,
This
I'm sure
Norway
it's
one,
gonna
yeah.
be, yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't realize. Yeah, when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, okay,
Green
intense."
grass.
And then it was green grass. And I
Yeah.
was like, "What, Paul? What are you doing?"
Serious. You got Scorsese's movie coming out on Netflix. It's just
Really?
they're getting everyone.
Wow. I'm very excited for Hold the Dark. I really like that director. Green Room, I think, is just so good.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Much better than Blue Ruin. But anyway, I mean, Blue Ruin is also great.
Yeah.
But I like Green Room. It's a huge improvement, so I'm excited for Hold the Dark. But yeah, Haunting of Hill House is so incredibly good. I really liked it a lot. And I'm a scaredy cat.
Yeah.
So like it was tough for me.
Yeah.
And typical of horror, I think like the first half is a lot scarier than the second half.
Once you start
like,
knowing and seeing, of course.
But like, oh man, just filmically, it's so well done. The scripts are phenomenal. The characters I thought were very well rendered. It does a thing very well that to me is an essential of good horror. Mm-hmm. That the characters all behave in realistic ways, even if they are acting in a way I would not because of just who they are. Mm-hmm. It's true to them, and they do the things that I believe they would do in the situation. And like characters don't just do some stupid thing because it's scary. They'll like actually say the thing you're thinking, or they'll do the thing you want them to do. And it doesn't lean heavily on. There aren't like mirror scares or shower scenes or whatever. Like
closing the medicine cabinet.
Yeah. It's very well done, but it had the unfortunate side effect of then making, because it's been Halloween and I want to hold on to that feeling, So we were watching Channel Zero and then Sabrina, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Oh, dude, yeah, I started that.
Yeah, and like. I think I wouldn't have been super high on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina anyway, probably, but the comparison between Haunting of Hill House now, everything seems poorly written and nothing is scary.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So it's really funny. Like trying to watch this season of Channel Zero, it was like episode 2 or 3, and I was just kind of like, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah,
I was just like, And then Sabrina is a weird, tonally inconsistent kind of hodgepodge, sort of a mess, I think.
I've only seen the first episode.
I watched the first 4, I think.
Oh, okay, wow.
And it had a lot of potential, I think, but then I'm not even sure what the show is trying to say. Like it jumps back and forth between witches being kind of good and like bad. Mm-hmm. Like being a witch, they're like into it, but then it's like you are making a deal like straight up with the devil. And he's clearly bad. Like, the show shows him as being bad.
Yeah.
And even other witches are like, oh, we're about free will. But then the next thing is like, but they're straight up being evil, too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is your stance on this issue? And, like, it's weird because it feels like it should feel more empowering, but it kind of just doesn't. It's a very strange show. And, like, maybe... I guess I'm maybe older than the target demographic or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it, and I was kind of bummed.
Dang.
Kind of cool looking
watched
show.
4. I mean, that's
I
a
watched
lot.
Ambrose is cool though. I like him. He's her like cousin.
Yeah.
Who for reasons I don't know is like under house arrest, like magical house arrest.
Yeah.
Which I think is fun. But yeah, I was kind of bummed that I didn't like it more.
Yeah. Post Hill House syndrome.
Right. Yeah. I saw. I've seen it several times before, but I saw it for like the 4th time. Sorry, I have something kind of in my throat right now. The original Suspiria.
Nice.
I saw at a friend of mine had a screening of it. Wayward Cinema. If you're ever in LA, check it out. It's like a monthly series. He shows really cool stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen the original Suspiria.
Seen the original,
okay,
but
yeah.
I always in my brain, because I've only seen it once at a friend's house so long ago, but my wires always cross with that and opera.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, so
that's also Argento, right?
Yeah. So I always get it all confused, and there's like college years.
Yeah.
So
Suspiria is so
I remember all
funny
the colors
because it's just the colors. I love the way it's shot and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, the story is so funny. I heard mixed things about the new Suspiria.
Me too.
I heard it was way too long and not that great.
It's like 2.5 hours. I was gonna go see it,
which is such a bummer.
It was like,
but I can't remember if I talked about Mandy on the last episode or if I saw it after we shot the last episode.
I forget, because I know you've been telling me about it.
Yeah.
I forget if we were filming.
Well, briefly, Mandy is great. I love Mandy so much.
It's always fun when you get a good Nick Cage flick.
Oh my. I love Nick Cage. Nicolas Cage can do no wrong.
He's a madman.
He's a madman. He just, oh man. And now that he's paid off his castle or whatever, it's just like he doesn't have to do those like cashing the check movies, but he probably still will. Oh man. There's a GQ video where Nicolas Cage speaks about his various roles that I think he did in part of promotion for Mandy.
Yeah.
And it is a fascinating watch. It's like 20-something minutes of him just talking through most of his iconic roles. And he puts in so much more thought, like artistic, like actual rational artistry and thought into his roles than you would probably think.
That's epic.
Like a lot of his stuff, he's like, I want to be the American Klaus Kinski or like whatever. And he's like doing all these things. Yeah. He's a fascinating individual.
That's the thing. If you've like, he's so successful. Like, if you've made it that far and done that many movies, like, dude's got to be smart.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's good at what he does. You know?
I hope he's not like a freak or something. Cause like, I really would love to. I mean, obviously it's never gonna happen, but I would just love to like. My dream barbecue would be like Nicolas Cage, Barack Obama, Sean Bean,
Tom Waits.
Joanna Newsom.
So funny.
Jim Jarmusch.
Nick Cage like roasting marshmallows.
Yeah.
Jolly.
Just like screaming at Tom Waits about something. Oh my God. Anyway. Mandy. It's great stuff. Mandy actually made by Panos Cosmopoulos. I always forget his last name. But who is the, I think, son of the man who made Tombstone. I believe this is correct. And because he has the rights to Tombstone's, like, you know, DVDs or something, I don't know. Somehow he's, like, making money from, because I believe his father passed away or something to that effect. And so he inherited some of the rights or something. I don't know the ins and outs, but with Tombstone, I believe. And so that helps in making these other movies, I imagine. But it was interesting after seeing Beyond the Black Rainbow with him there. He did a Q&A and he talked about Tombstone. So that's a good segue. Huber, will you be my huckleberry?
Dude, yes.
As we talk about Westerns this month.
Tombstone, dude.
Tombstone, dude. It's been a number of years. I got to see Tombstone again. I miss Tombstone. And Silverado, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Silverado's a classic. Oh,
I love Westerns. And I realized actually in preparing for this episode that there are a few, like I've seen a lot of the big boys, you know, but there are a few that I just like have not seen, and there's like no excuse. Mm-hmm. Like I haven't seen, I've seen like parts of, but not all of the Man with No Name stuff. Like
second one's the best.
Good, Bad, and
Third
the Ugly,
one's
Fistful
all
of Dollars.
good, Bad, and the Ugly is always the one that gets all the accolades and the love.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a sick title.
Yeah.
It deals a lot with like Mexico and like more political, the scope of it all.
We're gonna touch on that.
Yeah,
we're gonna touch on that.
The second one, so the first one's a fistful of dollars, but then the second one is for a few dollars more.
Yeah.
And it's just straight up bounty hunter, dude. Lee Van Cleef, like Uneasy Alliance with Clint Eastwood. It's just more grounded.
Nice.
Sick shootouts.
I gotta see that.
God, I love that movie. So good.
Yeah. So like that's my big like shameful Western blind spot, because I always watched more of the like Peck and Paw,
Wild Bunch.
Searchers, Wild Bunch. Yeah. Oh, obviously Searchers, not Peck and Paw, but like yeah, and one of my favorite movies is Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia,
which I've never seen.
Probably a lot of people haven't seen. It's a lesser known, maybe lesser known Peck and Paw movie, which you can't even buy on like an actual American Blu-ray. I had to buy like the Spanish Blu-ray like 10, 15 years ago when I wanted to watch this movie. That movie, just real quick, I just shout out to Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, because it's Warren Oates basically just being Peck and Paw. He's like just being like a drunk bastard. And he is unhinged in that movie.
How much blood?
You would love
Gallons
this movie.
of blood?
Not even a lot.
Okay.
You would love this movie. It has a lot of the Peck and Paw like standbys. Like Peck and Paw did not trust women. I would venture a guess to say that Peck and Paw did not trust women, and probably had a drinking problem or something, given Oates's portrayal. But yeah, oh man, there's just so much insane stuff in that movie. Anyways, nice. Some of my I'll just run down a quick list, as we sometimes do at the beginning of these episodes, of some of my favorite Westerns, and then I want to hear some of your favorite Westerns. And we have a few of the patrons in the $7 and up tier on patreon.com/easyallies join the discussion in the film club, and we have a lot of really great comments this month from them, so we'll lean on that again this month. But we have some favorites from them too. But here's some of my favorites. Of course, No Country for Old Men, like flawless movie in my opinion. El Topo, shout out Jodorowsky, The Wild Bunch, Tombstone, Silverado, Dead Man, Jim Jarmusch.
Dip.
So weird.
Weird one, yeah. Only saw that one once.
Back to the Future Part 3, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, of course. I love Back to the Future Part 3. Stay out of my mentions.
Dude.
I love that movie.
Griff.
Mad Dog Tannen.
Mad Dog Tannen, dude. Griff Mad Dog Tannen.
And like in Back to the Future 2, Marty walks in on Biff in the hot tub with those people in the alternate 85, and he's watching a Western where the guy uses a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
Bulletproof vest.
So
great flick. Great
sick.
play. And then he does that
In
3 because he saw it in them.
So sick.
I love it. And Doc gets to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I like Clara a lot.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Good one.
And it's like funny.
I like Mary Steenburgen a lot.
Yeah, me too.
She's cool.
Anyway.
Great movie.
Anyone Come After Me. That movie is fantastic.
It holds up. It's
holds
obviously not as good as one, but it doesn't need to be.
They're different. They're all different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That you like this idea of just like writing off a sequel because it's not as good, you know? Like Alien 3 syndrome. And it's like, dude, Alien 3 obviously is not Alien or Aliens, but it's good.
I really like Alien 3.
Yeah.
Especially the assembly edit.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the one where it starts on that beach with the guy walking on the beach having found the vessel or whatever, and the like dead cows or what have you, that movie's great.
Yeah. I like it.
Come at me.
Yeah.
What's happening? Bring Me the Head. There Will Be Blood.
Bring me the blood.
Give me the blood, Lord. The Searchers, Slow West, Django, the original. I actually didn't like Django Unchained, really. I didn't like it.
I will defend Tarantino till my last dying breath.
We'll get into
but
it.
I'm not going to do it right now because full disclosure, I've only seen Django twice, and the last time was like when it released on Blu-ray.
The new Django Unchained.
Yeah, Django Unchained.
Yeah.
I
Have you seen the
so
original
little.
Django?
Never.
It is so badass, dude. He comes into a town. It's basically like Trigun, you know, where like the guy's carrying around that cross, but he's dragging. I mean, they definitely just took that from Django, but like he's dragging this coffin the whole show, the whole movie.
Sick.
And it's like this badass power move, but it's clearly like heavy.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if he says it or if everyone just assumes that it's for himself if he dies, right?
Yeah.
But then he busts it out.
Guns.
Oh baby. I mean, spoiler for Django, like 50 years later, whatever. But
guns.
it's just a giant Gatling gun.
Nice.
And it's just like, oh my god, and it's so crazy.
That's awesome.
Oh, that movie's great. And there are like a bunch of them. I think I've only seen the first one. I have a cousin. Well, I have a first cousin once removed named Django, which he was born before Django Unchained. Blazing Saddles, of course.
Yeah.
The Revenant. Meek's Cutoff. Have you seen Meek's Cutoff?
Never even heard it.
Meek's Cutoff is great. I can't remember the woman's name who directed it at this moment, but it's very good. It has Academy ratio, 4:3 ratio.
Nice.
Which is it's just such a cool. You'd like it. It's very slow, but like really intense.
Cool.
Wind River, 310 to Yuma, True Grit, and The Proposition.
Nice, dude. That's what is his name?
Guy
Hillcoat.
Oh yeah, John Hillcoat. Written by Nick Cave of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Also, Nick Cave and Warren Ellis did the soundtrack for several movies. The Proposition, I believe, included, but also The Assassination of Jesse James by the
One
Coward
of
Robert
my
Ford.
all-time favorite
Great
films in the history of film.
Yeah, it's good.
Except isn't Casey Affleck like kind of a creep?
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because his performance in that was like one of my all-time favorites.
He's very creepy.
He's Robert Ford in that. Yeah.
So it kind of works.
Oh, I love that movie. Sam Rockwell.
I love Sam Rockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any faves that I didn't mention?
Yeah. So my dad doesn't particularly like horror. So growing up, a lot of Westerns. Like Searchers, you know, John Wayne, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance is a classic.
High
one
Noon.
of my dude, High Noon.
High Noon is incredible.
High Noon's so good. And one of my all-time favorites growing up was Winchester 73,
I've heard
starring
of that, but I haven't
Jimmy
seen it.
Stewart. And to kind of broaden the conversation, it's funny because I always think about when I think of like America in the past, right? I think of when I think of the past, I think of like white picket fences, everything's jolly and nice and cozy and good, Now in the modern time, it's like more intense. We get like indie movies and dark stuff. Everything's all dark and edgy and gritty, right? But I think of all these, like when we did film noir and so even some of these old Westerns, and like the plot lines are so intense and so dark. And I personally, I never expect it from like movies in the past, and that's just on me. But the premise of it is Jimmy Stewart's in town and there's a shooting competition and the winner gets a brand new Winchester 73 rifle. And he owns it, dude. Like the first 20 minutes is this like shooting competition. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he owns it and he wins the gun. And of course he gets attacked by his rival in his hotel room, like upstairs. They beat the crap out of him, take his gun. The entire movie is about him going to get his gun back. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
Super cool. Dude, it's like 75, 80 minutes. It's a short one. Like,
too bad it's not 73 minutes.
Seriously. Jimmy Stewart. Love Jimmy Stewart. Like,
That's one of my...
Oh, Jimmy.
You raise... I mean, we could do an episode... I think we should maybe try to do an episode on this. It would be a harder episode to research. But, I love earlier movies of that era and before, like the Hays Code and all that stuff, where they couldn't show a lot of stuff, so they had to just heavily imply it.
Yeah.
And how very frequently that makes things so much more intense, or like it heightens the sexual tension to a degree that's like insane.
Yeah.
Or the violence and terrifying subtext is just like, oh my God.
And I to go back to maybe why I don't expect it is because movies are so graphic now.
Right.
So you just think like, oh, back then they weren't as graphic, so it's obviously not as intense. But like, I'm wrong to kind of think that because just the plot itself and like you said, the illusion, alluding to it.
Yeah, innuendo.
Yeah.
Like the scene in, what is it? It's a Wonderful Life, I think, where they're like in the living room and the phone is ringing and like they're having this conversation and it's just like so, like the sexual tension is so palpable. It's amazing. But any other ones? Winchester 73?
Yeah, Winchester. I mean, the Man with No Name trilogy. You nailed a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I love 310 to Yuma.
I knew you did. I knew. I haven't seen the original 310 to Yuma. I've only seen the new one. Yeah. But I wonder if it's good.
Yeah. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid you didn't mention.
Oh, I actually don't like that movie.
Really?
Which is weird. Maybe I was just in a mood when I saw it. But I thought it felt to me like... This is a weird example, a weird corollary, but speaking of Nicolas Cage, it felt sort of like Face Off, where at the time it was super fun just because of the celebrity of the stars.
Got it.
And like this movie has, unless I'm thinking of the wrong movie, but this movie has like
The bike scene
for like 20 minutes with the sunshine, whatever on my head or whatever song it is. And I'm just like, okay, I get it.
It's like, a little self-indulgent.
But I'm just like, yeah, it's self-indulgent.
Yeah.
And it also suffers from a thing that I think is really hard to pull off, where the Wild Bunch succeeds in this, in my opinion, and Bonnie and Clyde also succeeds. There's a thing in movies sometimes that bothers me when it's like, I know where this is headed, and I don't like you guys enough to not want you to just get to the end and die.
Oh, like Newman and Redford are
I like them as people.
So good in that movie together.
I need to see it again.
You love The Sting.
Yeah, I love The Sting.
Same exact crew, dude. Same
I need
director.
to see it again. I need to see it again.
Like same. What's his name? But it wasn't Houston. I forget. But it's the same director. So.
Yeah, I can't remember anything.
Yeah.
I need to see it again, probably.
Yeah, give it a rewatch.
I need to give it. I was probably just in a bad place.
Now that Red Dead's out, it's Western time. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Any other ones?
Tombstone, dude. I'm ready to talk about Tombstone.
Let's talk about
Tombstone, dude.
It's so good.
Val Kilmer,
dude.
Like
slowly dying of tuberculosis.
Give him the damn Academy Award now. Be like,
for Tombstone?
Yeah. Be like, yo, we messed up.
We botched it.
Yo.
Like how Easy Allies this year is going to strip Last Guardian of Game of the Year status.
Exactly. Exactly.
They'll go back.
We're going to go back. We're going to recount.
Right that wrong.
Yep. And
Vote without that dumb rollover voting that I propose, and will regret for the rest of my life.
And we're going to give it to Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Game of the year.
Game of the year. Val Kilmer in Tombstone as Doc Holliday.
Yeah. No, really. Like him in that movie, it's I bet so many people out there, like everyone, dude, that's like one of the best movie roles. Like, you know, if you grew up at that time and you're watching Tombstone, it's like, dude, Doc Holliday just crushes it.
That movie's vibes are so spot on.
Spot on.
Also, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't mention Maverick.
Yep. Danny Glover cameo, top tier.
They just look at each other like 4 times. I love Maverick. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has, obviously it has problems, but like, ugh.
I love poker. So like, poker on a river.
Jodie Foster, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super good.
Anyway, Tombstone.
Yep. Those are pretty much all I can think of right now.
Yeah. Unforgiven.
Oh, that's my number. That's my number one. I say that all the time.
I saw Unforgiven when I was like 7. I like don't remember it.
Unforgiven is like always competing in my brain. Like obviously Aliens has that has it on lockdown in there, but Unforgiven is always like knocking up there. Like yo, like
let's hear from some patrons here. James Vest. Huge fan of Westerns, mostly because they were the movies I watched with my father growing up. One of my favorites is Rio Bravo, which I haven't seen. Have you seen that?
Yep.
I always enjoyed the film a lot. I also found the story about how the movie was created in response to High Noon by Wayne and Hawks. It is without a doubt my favorite Western by him, up there with Shane and Tombstone as favorite Westerns overall. Nice. Very good. Faip, F-A-A-I-P. Faip.
I never know how to say that one.
No, I never know how to say anything.
Sorry.
My favorite Western is easily John Ford's The Searchers. I love adventure on an epic scale, and I think Ford delivers one of his best examples with that film. Mm-hmm. Although it can be a bit campy at times, it's also probably Ford's darkest story. Ethan is a deeply flawed character on an obsessive quest fueled by really nothing more than hatred, to a point where his objective changes from rescuing his niece to finding and killing her for living with the Comanche.
Searchers is
complex.
Searchers and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I feel like, are always the ones that can make a case, and Unforgiven for like the best Western. Like Searchers, it probably takes the cake. Yeah. It's not my favorite. I love it. But if anyone comes and says, "Yo, The Searchers is the best," I'll be like, "Sure, yep, yep,
fine." What I love, and we're gonna talk about race and that kind of stuff toward the end, I think. But I took a class on Westerns in film school, and we talked a lot about The Searchers and how it's a good example of a character being super racist and terrible without the movie seeming like it's supporting that. Mm-hmm. You know, like it doesn't paint Ethan in a good light for that. And for a film of that time period too, it's just like pretty intense.
Yeah.
Patton Werner, I mean, it's been since college since I've seen The Searchers, so maybe I'm forgetting things. But Patton Werner brought up one that I actually have not even heard of, but we both have a huge love for its star. Patton Werner says, "I am shocked that no one has mentioned The Salvation, starring Mads Mikkelsen."
What?
Mads!
What? I thought I'd seen his entire filmography, dude. What gives?
Have you seen The Hunt?
Yes.
The movie is depressing.
Smacks depression, dude. Ugh. Can't handle it, dude. That final shot.
Oh my God.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Depression.
Watch The Hunt. It's very intense.
Be sad. Yeah.
It had a very limited run in theaters and this is back to The Salvation, and was on a few streaming services for a bit, but it's not to be missed. Not just a great Western, but also a great film. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's portrayal of Henry Delarue puts Negan to shame. Mads' violent and capable performance or portrayal of John makes for one of the most memorable quests for revenge in Western history. Dude. I hope and pray you guys see it and discuss it before the recording. Sorry, we didn't. But I definitely am adding this to the list. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking. Dude, Eva Green too?
What?
Yeah. She's the best.
Oh, we're going to get into sci-fi Westerns later.
Bad men will bleed is the tagline. Dude.
Let's watch it.
Looks dope.
Prospect. Sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Coming limited release soonish, I think.
Okay.
Looks awesome. It's got Oberyn from Game of Thrones, Oberon or whatever.
Yeah, Prince Oberyn.
Yeah, the Viper or whatever.
Dude.
Looks crazy. But
Yeah.
So it looks like a sci-fi western. They're like prospectors on planets trying to get the best haul.
Awesome. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Space cowboys, dude.
Space cowboys. We're going to talk about space cowboys. Trust me. Talking about Western tropes. There are a lot of Western tropes.
Yeah.
They lean on, the out-of-town stranger, the outlaw, the shootout, the
man
high noon.
looking for redemption.
Well, yeah, revenge.
Yep.
But the patrons phrased this all better than maybe we could. So, Fipe again. It's also a perfect example. Oh yeah, I put this there. Continuing the discussion of the Salvation, I believe. It's also a perfect example of my favorite Western trope, the gunslinger / outlaw / adventurer that has, in a way, sold their soul to the frontier and is unable to enter back into society. This might be talking about... that's talking about the Searchers. Sorry. Pat and Werner brought up Salvation. Fate was the Searchers. Yeah. It goes on. But Tokyo Slim then says, Western tropes... Stranger rides into town to stir up trouble. Outlaws are the good guys. Progress and death of the Wild West. Train robberies. Everyone drinks whiskey. Duel at high noon. Morgan Mahala. Deserts and sunsets. Lever action rifles and shooting 2 revolvers. High noon quick draw. Shooting the rope to free hanging man. Love that one in Back to the Future Part 3.
Dude, I didn't mention Magnificent Seven. Another classic.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It's so good.
It always, why do those deaths always hurt me, right? Like 13 Assassins, you know? There's always that, epic-ass character just, doing right, trying to, protect people, and then just, go down in a blaze of glory. I'm always just like, no.
Yeah. We'll talk, actually, about the corollary between samurai films and westerns in a minute, too, but...
they remade Unforgiven in Japan...
Really?
With Ken Watanabe as Clint Eastwood.
Whoa.
Never saw. I tried to get it when it was coming out.
Is it also called Unforgiven? It's called something else.
I forget. I think it came out a while ago and I could never track it down.
Right.
So
it's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
James Vest. One thing that I do remember about classical westerns and the stories is that most of the time the battle isn't one of a gunslinger against another gunslinger, but the Wild West against the civilized. The wild against the civilized. The idea being that the cowboy represents an untamed person, a person who is still wild. He enters into civilization, which is represented by the people he helps, and then in the end, he either becomes part of the civilization, giving up the wild part of himself, or returns to the wild. That's why the cowboy rides into the sunset. It's a sign of him rejecting civilization and the form of city or people he saved and returning to the wild. That's how it is explained to me, anyhow, and I always thought that line of thinking was really interesting. That's a really good trope that I like. Sort of that idea of Mad Max in a huge way is like this too, where it's you're sort of this mythic figure more than a person, and you realize there's no place for you in this world. You'll come in and do what needs to be done, what other people can't do, and then you must go back out.
Yeah.
You can't be a part of that. You can't have it.
Don't go, Shane.
Yeah. Well, Shane is an interesting one too, because it's kind of he's probably gonna die, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole other thing. He's returning to the wild of death.
So epic
too. But I love that idea. And obviously, Red Dead Redemption is talking about that in a big way. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah.
And High Noon, the idea of just no one's gonna help.
Right.
No one's gonna help you.
Right.
That's so intense.
There's a comment about this too later, but
dude, also, I would be remiss to not mention this. Okay, the movie itself, has gotten better over time. I saw it in the theater as a teenager with my friends, and all of us were so pissed because we were angsty teenagers, and we were so bored out of our minds. And this movie's always on TV. I keep going back to it. It'll be on. I'll click in, and I'll just find myself getting swept up in it. And it has one of the great shootouts in westerns, Open Range.
I was going to say Open Range. Yep.
Sleeper, dude.
Yep.
Sleeper hit movie. Kevin Costner. Very slow.
Yeah.
You maybe want to watch this movie on a Sunday afternoon. It's one of those Barry Lyndon situations.
Yeah.
Just
Das Boot.
Yeah, really slow and long, but just gets better
I'm
every
glad
time I
you
see
brought
it.
that up because I remember when I went to the theater and I saw Open Range and I was disappointed.
Just like, oh.
But it has one of the better shootouts in it, and I think that in that movie specifically, it owes a lot to the sound design.
Dude,
those guns and the impact sounds of the wood. Some of the most intense gun sounds I've ever heard in a movie, for sure.
Glad you've seen it, dude.
Like,
yes.
oh yeah, when there's a scene where he like shoots a guy through the wall with a shotgun, and it hits you in the chest. It sounds like a bomb going off, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, weird. Like, it's one of those movies. The proposition, in a strange way, is sort of like this too, and we'll talk about this revisionist Western and sort of like anti-Western kind of mentality, but like. Yeah, Open Range, it felt like it just didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
True Grit sort of, the Coen brothers' True Grit sort of did the same thing for me.
Totally.
It's like
almost great.
Right. It gets to 80% and then kind of is done.
Yeah.
But Open Range, phenomenal shootout.
Yeah.
I have not seen Godless. You've watched Godless?
Dude, yeah, I loved it.
I was really into
it's very Red Dead.
Okay. The idea, and it won like a million Emmys. But the idea from the ads that I saw sounded really cool. It's like the women take over a town after all the men die in like a mining accident or something.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
And
Jeff Bridges comes in, tries to take over.
He's really good. And it's got Michelle Dockery from Downton and Jack O'Connell, who's like one of my favorite actors ever. He's this British dude. He's in like he made it big in Skins.
Okay.
This European show. And then he's also in a lot of indie cool movies. He's in like Starred Up, this prison movie with Rupert Friend. He was in Unbroken, the Angelina Jolie movie. Just a really, really great
I'd probably
actor.
recognize him.
Great
Sure,
kid. He's amazing. Cool. Love the guy.
But yeah, I need to see Godless.
Yeah.
Rory McGuire says, my all-time favorite Western and one of my favorite films is Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. Dude. Is a quintessential Western, perfectly executing the themes of revenge, expansionism, opportunism, and the American dream. It uses my favorite Western trope, the long, suspenseful build before the loud explosion, speaking of Open Range, loud explosion of a gunfight, brilliantly, see the very opening of the film, while skirting around the more shameful Western tropes of how indigenous Chinese, Mexican, or black people are portrayed. In my opinion, it has one of the best scores of any Western, and with each character having their own themes that intertwine together when conflict occurs. And it uses Henry Fonda, traditionally a heroic character, as the villain.
As the villain, dude. Henry Fonda, rare turn as a villain. Kills it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Is it Henry Fonda that's the bad guy in The Limey? One of my favorite movies.
It's Peter.
That's Peter Fonda.
I think so.
Yeah, that's Peter Fonda.
Dude, Once Upon a Time in the West. With, what is his name? Death Wish.
Oh, Bronson.
Bronson.
Yeah.
Dude. So good.
I haven't seen it. I need to see it.
Oh my God, the soundtrack, Ian.
I know.
Dude, watch the beginning when you get home.
I think I'm realizing that Leone, like spaghetti Western, is my blind spot. I haven't seen a lot of those.
Dude, the music.
So weird.
Music.
I love it.
I was just glad.
Morricone,
I was glad that he got to do Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of composers, I asked our patrons what their favorite composers were.
It's easy. Easy.
Pretty much everyone said Morricone. Yeah. But Tokyo Slim said, when you're talking about the most well-known, best Western composers, you're pretty much talking about Morricone. He's a legend. I think Elmer Bernstein's theme for the Magnificent Seven may be a perfect piece of music, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Played it in marching band, Ian, on my
you
clarinet. Did? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so good.
I can bust it out. Dude, I should bust that out on clarinet.
There is.
Don't tweet me that.
Please, I would love to hear that. Just personally,
maybe
for me.
down the line or something. Maybe.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I have a clarinet right here. I wish that'd be so funny. I'm gonna start carrying clarinet around with me all the time just to put you on blast. There is a really cool. I don't remember her name right now because my memory is terrible. But there's a very, very cool. What is it called? The famous Morricone song. What is it called? Someone mentioned it, I think. Let me see. Ecstasy. Damn it. Well, whatever. The big famous one, the name of which I don't remember, and you're all kicking me in the face because of it.
I'm really terrible with song
Me
names.
too. But anyway, she does a cover of it on the Agony and the Ecstasy? No, the Ecstasy of Gold? That might be it. Whatever. She does a cover of it on a theremin, and it's super awesome.
Nice. I don't even know what is a theremin.
A theremin is an instrument that works with like magnetic energy, like electromagnetic whatever conduction, and like your hand, the closer it gets to the, it's like the classic Forbidden Planet like sci-fi like
nice.
instrument.
Cool.
But like the left hand controls volume and the right hand controls pitch.
Whoa.
With this like just antennas, and you don't even touch it, so you're just waving your hands in the air.
Awesome.
Her technique is actually really cool because she has like her hand in this kind of like a open kind of hand position, and she can do a whole scale just by going like this with her hand, like
whoa,
kind of slightly opening and moving her fingers, which is her own kind of style. It's just pretty cool.
Badass.
Would You Kindly mentions, of course, Morricone, although I put this in just because I love it. Nick Cave and Warren Ellis's Assassination of Jesse James is also amazing.
Oh, there's some really good tracks in there.
Oh, dude,
like, that one song with the narrator.
Yeah,
the narrator's talking.
One of my favorite tracks. It might be the
God.
same one. One of my favorite tracks from that soundtrack is called "Gun Thing." I think that's from that soundtrack, not The Proposition. But it's good stuff. Oh yeah.
Did you ever hear? It's a tragic tale. The lost to the annals of time, or what have you. There was a 4-hour cut of Assassination of Jesse James.
Oh, really?
That everyone wanted, man, and he's like, it's not. We're never releasing it. It's not happening.
Wow.
There's like a 4-hour director's cut.
Huh.
And it like almost got released. They were gonna like release it in theaters. It just didn't happen. Jeez. I wanted it because that's another really, really long movie.
Yeah.
A lot of westerns are really long.
Yeah.
And I love that movie so much, like every minute of it. So I was just like, give me more.
Yeah.
But it never happened.
Funny. Would You Kindly also mentions Alva Noto and Ryuichi Sakamoto's Revenant is good. I've seen that movie, but I can't conjure the soundtrack at this time in my brain box.
Dude, can I have a gnarly hot take?
Yo.
I did not like The Revenant.
You didn't like The Revenant?
And I'm obsessed with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
I love The Wild West. I love Tom Hardy.
Don't you even like that director too?
I love Inarritu.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Birdman, so maybe I don't like Inarritu.
I like Birdman.
Didn't like The Revenant.
What about it do you think you didn't like? I only saw it once in theaters.
I think because they shoot the bear, maybe.
The bear gets a lot of good hits.
The bear does some damage.
The bear does some damage. Okay.
No, I need to revisit it. I only saw it in the theater once. Mm-hmm. Need to go back.
I think
rewatch time.
Just for filmmaking, like the performances obviously are incredible, but just like the sheer force of will in filmmaking that The Revenant represents is bonkers to me. Like the fact that it's all natural light, that they were just literally fighting nature.
Yeah. I need to watch it again.
They had like 3 alternates for every shoot day that everyone had to be ready to do just based on the weather.
Crazy.
And like if it's like the shoot schedule is like if it's snowing we're doing these scenes, if it's warm we're doing these scenes, if it's really cold we're doing like whatever.
Yeah.
And that to me is crazy.
Yeah.
Just like the sheer force of psychotic will it took to make that movie is impressive enough on its own. I think.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot, but yeah, I could definitely see not. It is similar to Open Range and True Grit, where it did. My hopes, maybe my expectations, it didn't quite reach the heights I was hoping for. Perhaps, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, I've only like you seen it once, but yeah, I liked The Revenant.
I need to go back to it.
It's crazy. I mean, it's like Barry Lyndon.
It's one of those things where I'd like it on another
really
view.
well shot. Yeah, I think you would. That'd
be an interesting one.
Leo does a crazy job in it.
Movies you hated and then loved. It's like it's hard to think about it.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Definitely, there have been movies like the first example of a movie that I thought was just okay and now is one of my favorite movies of all time was The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
The first time I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, it's good. And then the second time I watched it, I'm like, oh, this is the funniest thing on the planet. Like, why did I not see this the first time? Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about, because the Western is it's a mainstay of cinema. It's stuck around since 1903. You know, like one
Great
of the
train robbery.
Yeah, the Great Train Robbery is like, you know, cited as the first like Western. The Edison Company apparently had done some little Western-y things too before that, but like, yeah, more or less the Great Train Robbery. Why do you think Westerns have such staying power? Why have they stuck around for so long?
Part of it, I think, is historical. Just like, you know, I think it's always fun seeing like a bit of history. You know, movies can take us somewhere, whether that's sci-fi in the future or the Wild West in the past. You know, so I think that helps, and it's just been so romanticized over the years.
Yeah,
it's so prolific. They've made so many of them. Like some of the biggest, like Hollywood was almost like founded on that, like Great Train Robbery, you said, but then so many stars, you know, have kind of just like carried that and elevated it into like immortality, if you will.
And I mean, that makes me think too, kind of, in a sense, the story, like the kind of Western story, that the push west, the American frontier, has a lot of similarities with the rise of the film industry itself. Yeah. Like there are a lot of corollaries there, I think.
Hollywood was west.
Right. Well, yeah. Literally and figuratively. Yeah. I think you're totally right. And also, I think you mentioned sci-fi, and I think Westerns and sci-fi, maybe even more than fantasy films as genres, are very well equipped to discuss kind of social issues.
Totally.
Because sci-fi, obviously, you can frame current problems in a technological or futuristic way and hit it in that kind of regard. Westerns have this weird ability to dilute everything down to like their raw elements, and then you can just like shoot it in the face and talk about McCarthyism or racism or you know, colonialism or whatever it is you want to tackle, women's suffrage, like all these kind of big ticket items. You can kind of have a town represent one half and like these outlaws represent the other half, and then just kind of go in this morality play. I think that's a really powerful tool for storytelling. But also, just, and a few people said this too, it's just such a hero's tale, like
timeless tale,
Joseph Campbell style. Just like, here are these guys, go for it. And we'll discuss in a second about classical Westerns versus revisionist Westerns and how morality has gotten grayer over time. But I think, the good guys, the us versus them kind of trope, it's just kind of a simple story to tell, and one that people don't ever seem to get tired of.
No. And they're usually really pretty.
Sure. Very good point.
They're always fun to look at.
Yeah. I mean, you just John Ford it and head out to Monument Valley, and there you go. Would You Kindly said that every kid's dream is represented in Westerns, and it represents the freedom and anarchy that we all secretly thrive for, which is probably true.
The lawlessness.
Yeah, Deadwood, you know.
Dude, it's coming back.
Wait, it is? As a movie?
In production. Done. Like, the deal has been set.
Oh, baby.
Actors are booked to return.
Now I need to actually watch that series and finish it all the way. I watched, like, season 1. I liked it.
It is... Oh, never mind. I won't even tell you the premise. Moving on.
I mean, I know the premise.
No, if you for the movie, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Don't tell me the
premise is pretty much out.
Tokyo Slim says, I think Westerns have stuck around as long as they have because they delivered satisfyingly on archetypes and tropes that people enjoy seeing. Tough, rugged heroes, adventure ideals triumphing over corruption. Westerns are not necessarily about cowboys. They are reflections of our culture's base morality. As our moral center has grown to include things like independence of women, you saw such films like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid evolve from the damsel in distress into more liberated morality of the 60s and 70s. There's also something to be said for the ingrained cinematic language. This is a long one. There's also something to be said for the ingrained cinematic language and easily identifiable roles of hero and villain, even in movies with blurred lines or archetypes like Unforgiven. As bad as the protagonist is, he's got motivations that are pure, and there's someone worse there to defeat. It's essentially...
Can I just say I 100% modeled Arthur Morgan off of Clint Eastwood?
Oh, really?
Unforgiven. It's like-
I think. Well, Arthur Morgan is a great example. The player character of Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, because he is like, he says it himself, like, we are bad men.
yeah.
But you
have your own motivations.
You can do kind things. You can be like,
Yeah.
Also, again, the kind of death of that part in society, they grapple with that a lot. This thought I really liked. He goes on to say it's essentially the precursor to things like superhero films in certain ways. Western cinema evolved out of the tales of penny dreadfuls and dime store novels of the Western frontier, which were consumed as popular media much in the same way that comics were in the 80s and 90s. Real-life people like Wild Bill Hickok, Annie Oakley, and Billy the Kid were glamorized and fictionalized in these pulpy books. I think that's really interesting to think about because, superheroes now, and I think maybe he has a comment that goes into this a little more in a second too, but it's kind of a similar thing right now.
Yeah.
Like, whereas in the 60s and 40s and stuff, Westerns were huge and talked about this stuff. Now we do it with superheroes, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Even like not so good superhero stuff. Like I'm thinking of Cloak and Dagger.
Sure.
It was like meh. But it's still dealing with like Roxxon Oil Corporation
right.
like,
Right. It's just a new paint job on the same kind of corporate greed.
Yeah.
So I mentioned a second ago the terms classical westerns and revisionist
tell me about
westerns.
This again.
I've
read this, but
oh yeah, and we talked about this in that class I took in film school back in the day. But so westerns are typically divided into two big categories, or kind of four main categories, subgenres. So there's classical westerns, which are typically the earlier stuff, the like first off the blocks kind of westerns, old school, good versus bad, very clear morality.
Winchester 73.
Yeah, and typically you could say these are the ones that mostly came out before World War II.
Got it.
Kind of just like the hero rides into town. Oftentimes, like, Native Americans were the bad guys, stuff like that. I mean, like, obviously, like, dated and not totally great all the time. They weren't always like that, obviously, but, like, that kind of stuff. And then revisionist westerns started, roughly after World War II, but a lot of them were, like, hardcore in the 60s. A lot more morally gray tales. And, like, heroes that are bad, but the bad guys are worse. So, like, Wild Bunch. I think The Searchers is a good example of this. Early kinda, Unforgiven, yeah, necessarily. Then you have, of course, spaghetti westerns, typically made in Italy, typically by Sergio Leone, and others. But kind of the European take, and mostly they were made over there just because it was cheaper. But Leone definitely had his own kind of style, and it showed, and then people started replicating it, and it blossomed into like a subgenre. And then what a lot of people then say are modern westerns, which for my money are basically still just revisionist westerns. And like I actually wonder if you could make a modern western in a classical style that wasn't revisionist. I think the film teacher I had talked about it where it was I really wish I could remember the term he used at the time. It was classical revisionist, and then like something like resurrectionist, or like a return to classical.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a melding of both. Whereas like revisionist, straight up capital R revisionist westerns are basically like intentionally trying to subvert the classical western modalities, where it's like, oh, the hero isn't good. I mean, like, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia and The Wild Bunch are, like, crazy, like, revisionist westerns where it's, like, pretty much everybody in this is trash. But, like, this is kind of the confluence. Modern westerns can be, like, a confluence of that, where I think Hell or High Water or Wind River are cool examples of this because, they're not doing good things. They are morally gray, but you can definitely see their reasons, and the quote-unquote bad guys are just as complicated. And, like Hell or High Water, nobody's bad, really, in that. Like, they're robbing for a specific reason, and the cop is just being a cop, but he's nice about it, if I recall. Like, he's not a douche.
They're at the end, it's like the banks are bad.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like-
But it's. I mean, again, yeah. Corporations are bad. Is the motive? Yeah. But like the main characters are kind of on the same side of it.
Yeah.
Of the issue. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's sort of like that kind of a deal.
Ben Foster, dude.
Yeah.
God, I love him.
Yeah. So Hell or High Water, man.
Dude, that was another one on Netflix, dude. Outlaw King.
Oh yeah.
Hell or High Water director, Mackenzie.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's
it was
out of
directed by
control,
him.
dude. Netflix is just
I wonder if that's good.
throwing money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have so much money. It's insane. Samuel Cardwell, with reference to revisionist westerns, I really like this comment. Mentions High Noon. I imagine High Noon has to be one of the earliest true revisionist westerns. Came out in 1952.
Wow.
Its townspeople, far from being innocent or decent, abandon the marshal to the outlaws who want to kill him. This is typically read as an allegory for McCarthyism, like we mentioned earlier. Indeed, the screenwriter himself was blacklisted and went into exile in the UK. Whoa. His Quaker
goodness.
wife is forced to abandon her pacifism to save him, and at the end, the marshal throws his star in the dirt and wordlessly leaves with his wife.
So epic.
Yeah. Not into the sunset, but off into another town to run a store and live a normal life. Yeah, it's High Noon, dude. It's so
Garrett
good.
Cooper.
Yeah. And like
Badass.
kind of in real time. That movie is crazy.
Just the ticking clock.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
High Noon.
The
So
tension, the
good.
build up, the shootout. Yeah. Makes me want to watch it again right now. I want to throw that on.
Yeah. I have so many movies I want to watch right now.
I know.
Moving through the comments here, Tyler Manning mentions, I'd like a little discussion about Western versus Neo-Western. The Western is, of course, the classic cowboy setting, and Neo-Westerns are contemporary in setting. My favorite Neo-Western is probably Hell or High Water. Okay. Yeah. It's a knock-out-of-the-park film. Taylor Sheridan is a master of the Neo-Western. Between this, Sicario, and Wind River, I agree.
And Yosemite.
Yosemite?
He did a show.
Really?
Called Yosemite.
When was this?
It came out like a few months ago.
What?
And it's he wrote and directed it, and it's Kevin Costner. It's like a 6 or 7
How have I
part.
not even heard of this?
Came and went, dude. It was on like Paramount Channel or something.
That's why. Okay.
Weird, yeah.
No Country is also a classic, but as far as bang for your buck, Hell or High Water has it all. An intense film from start to finish. I highly recommend Hell or High Water.
All of
I
it.
love that movie.
Everything Sheridan writes, consume.
Sicario 1. I didn't see Sicario 2.
It was okay. Could have been way worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause here's the thing.
Could have been bad.
I didn't see Sicario 2 because I was like, top 10 movies that don't need a sequel, right? Or like that a sequel would be like kind of offensive.
Yeah.
But if they handed it, was Sheridan involved or no?
He wrote it.
Oh, okay.
He did write it.
Okay.
And it's got a cool, it like takes it in another direction, but is still kind of like anchored to the first one, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay. It's not nearly as good as the first one, obviously, but
because the message of the first one
worth
is just so intense.
Yeah. It's worth it. And it made me more excited for a third one even. Where I was like, dude, let's go Sicario 3
Sicario Cinematic Universe.
When Sicario 2 was announced, I was a little bummed, and now here I am like, all right, let's get 3, because like 2 was deep. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
You don't want a sequel, you get it, and it's okay, but then you want another sequel.
You're like, they could get this right a third time.
Yeah.
Sicario's kind of a neo-western, like a modern kind of.
What, dude?
God,
To throw a cowboy hat on her?
Yeah.
Just gunslinger?
Oh man, I'd watch that. She sort of has that kind of attitude in Looper. Yeah.
Come out or I will cut you the F in half. It's like one of my favorite
Looper,
lines.
dude.
Need to rewatch that.
Weird
Throw
movie.
that on.
Yeah. So I asked the patrons about influences of Western genre that have spilled out into other parts of filmmaking, which I would kind of basically say is everywhere, like everything. Tokyo Slim, much in the same way as Westerns evolved from the classical to the more complex revisionist era, modern superhero films have evolved from stuff like Flash Gordon into Logan and Deadpool. Totally true. And I mean, I think a few people mentioned it down here, but like, I mean, Star Wars and a whole bunch of stuff to kind of Westerns, I think. And I mean, I think, again, it's because it is such just like a classic hero's journey most of the time.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to talk about the correlation between samurai films and
Let's
Japanese cinema and Westerns specifically. I mean, obviously, you've got Seven Samurai,
Yeah.
and The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
13 Assassins, I think.
Dude, I was thinking when I was playing Red Dead 2, Ian, like, because I'm an American, so I'm just like, I obviously look at
You're an American, bro?
Red Dead a little differently because it's like,
sure,
the West, I'm an American. And like,
it's our own nightmare past.
It's like when I play Yakuza, you know, that's a Japanese game. I was imagining like Japanese players playing Red Dead with like subtitles or something, just like that, transporting back into the Old West, and like how you perceive it differently, maybe, you know?
Well, and like America and Japan, especially after World War II, have had this like intense cultural exchange, but that I think was going on even before that, probably. Maybe not. But yeah, our two cultures have kind of been like in love with each other in strange ways, which is cool. I love it. Sun Chor or I Sun Chor brought up, just had a handy little list here that I thought was really nice. So Rashomon, 1950, is very similar to The Outrage in 1964. Seven Samurai, 54. The Magnificent Seven, 1960. The Hidden Fortress, 1958. Star Wars, 1977. I haven't seen The Hidden Fortress, so I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'm sure it's right. Yojimbo, 1961. Fistful of Dollars, 1964. Yeah, I think... And Tokyo Slim talks about, Magnificent Seven, Fistful of Dollars, Yojimbo, all these things being kind of correlations. Alan Kanlick says, Yojimbo is as much of a Western as The Man with No Name, and the way film culture from both sides of the Pacific has fed off of each other, that there are movies that couldn't exist without this relationship. The Good, the Bad, and the Weird is a great Korean spin-off.
Yes.
And there was Sukiyaki Western Django.
Yep.
Django. I've always heard it pronounced Django, actually, which is funny, but it's just Django.
Both of those.
That movie is bonkers.
Yep.
Vengeance.
Forgot about that one.
Afro Samurai. Yeah.
Samurai
Champloo in a certain way. I mean, obviously Cowboy Bebop, but we'll get into that in a second. Western comedies and Western genre mashups. I want to talk about this because I think that the Western, because it is kind of such a blank slate, you can kind of throw any other genre on top of it, be it comedy, horror, sci-fi.
Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, and it like just works, right?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I love a good Western horror / Western comedy / Western sci-fi.
Tomahawk.
I never saw that.
Dude.
Is it good?
Yes.
I've heard great things.
Yeah.
Is it a horror?
I don't want to like,
I want to watch
less
it.
you know about Bone Tomahawk.
I've heard it's crazy.
The less you know, the better.
Okay.
Jones was right about I was bummed. I wanted Halloween to come out on Halloween or whatever.
Yeah.
Jones was right, dude. Like, you got it.
The hype is before.
It is.
Yeah.
I finally felt that this year. It's like,
because
get it out early.
Because
Sabrina came out so late, and now I'm not even hyped.
Also, it's not very good. But like the hype for Halloween dies the day after Halloween when all the damn Christmas things come up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like poor Thanksgiving.
Poor Thanksgiving.
I mean, it's
sandwiched.
kind of a weird hot dog holiday, but like, it's just all Christmas all the time. As soon as Halloween is gone, I want Halloween to be like 2 or 3 times a year. We need like Halloween 2, Halloween 3. Carl Williams brought up a film that I hadn't heard of that sounds kind of interesting to me. It's a Western comedy, Cat Ballou. Jane Fonda as the titular character trying to avenge the death of her father but ends up becoming an outlaw. Lee Marvin in dual roles, Kid Shalene, a gun for hire that is a complete drunk, and Tim Sharon, a killer that has a silver nose. It's been a while since they've seen the movie, but they remember liking it and it being funny. And then a lot of people mention sci-fi westerns, like Firefly, obviously, Cowboys vs. Aliens, Man in the High Castle.
Dude.
Firefly.
Oh, we not talked about Firefly.
I know. Firefly. Firefly for me, well, it came at a time because I was brainstorming a novel that like took place only on Earth, but it was like the government had forced psychic abilities on people as a form of evolution. Chinese had melded with like a Western American kind of thing, and it was like Old West because the power all went out and stuff. And then Firefly came out, and I was just like, damn it. Okay. Firefly's great, though.
Serenity rules.
Yeah, I like Serenity.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Trigun. But then the granddaddy, obviously, of all of them, to me, Cowboy Bebop.
Of course.
Like,
of course.
Cowboy Bebop is just pitch perfect to me. And oh god,
Why can't we get that Keanu Reeves Cowboy Bebop movie, dude? Isn't that like the dream of dreams?
if Keanu as Spike is like the only like non-Japanese answer I think I would take.
Yeah. You ever see 47 Ronin with Keanu?
I did not. I kind of wanted to, but then it was so blasted when it came out.
It was bad.
John Wick 3, dude.
I'm ready.
I'm so ready.
Has Keanu ever been in a Western?
Oh. Nothing is springing to mind. Maybe there's one that we're overlooking.
I'm like trying to picture him in like Western getup. Does he look funny or cool? I don't know.
In Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they go and get Billy the Kid in the Wild West. So he's been to the Wild West. But yeah, Stephen Beaumont brought up those three, as well as a few other people. But Cowboy Bebop is just, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Travis, necessary to bring up The American Astronaut. Bring it to your attention if you're not familiar. It's a bizarro sci-fi western musical shot in black and white in 2001. Not the most amazing movie you'll see this week, but it's unique as hell. Sounds great.
Yeah. Has anyone brought up An American Tail?
Ugh.
Fievel Goes
I don't want to
West.
think about it. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
No. No, I'm sad.
I know.
No, I'm sad.
Epic though.
Yeah.
Was that Disney? There's no way, right?
I don't think so.
Because that would be like at Disneyland or something.
I feel like it was
Kingdom
one of those
Hearts.
early like movies where you're like, wait,
Anastasia.
this isn't Disney?
Yeah. Anastasia's the like quintessential. This isn't Disney. What?
Right. I have to mention the psychedelic or acid west. El Topo, one of my faves.
El Topo.
The Dark Tower, more the books than the movie. Dead Man, of course. From Dusk Till Dawn, horror, kind of. El Topo is bonkzors.
Yeah.
Jodorowsky, have you seen El Topo?
Once.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you saw it.
Because it's Desperado.
Yeah. Yeah. Desperado.
Yeah.
How have we not brought up Desperado?
Had to see the origins.
Yeah. We must travel in a spiral.
I remember the only thing I remember really I've seen like Desperado like 30 times, but the only thing I remember is like double pistols jumping. And so many shots of Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. Which one of the Desperados he has like there's like a remote control car.
Wait, there's more than
case?
one Desperado?
Yeah, kind of, right? There's like the El Mariachi, and then there's Desperado, and then I think there's like a third one somehow.
With Depp, dude. Like Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he's like blind. They take his eyes.
Yeah. And he's an FBI agent, and one time he's just wearing a shirt that says FBI on it, but like as a joke. Yeah.
I forgot all about it all. It's all just...
Yeah, all that whole era of filmmaking.
I saw Desperado at a drive-in movie theater. How weird is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would You Kindly says, El Topo is so important in that it invented the midnight movie. We also have to thank John Lennon and Yoko Ono for promoting it. Who knew?
Whoa.
Jodorowsky's guerrilla filmmaking approach alone, for example, by hijacking a set from a large blockbuster, followed in the spirit of a Western. That's funny. Speaking of hijacking a set, love Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
I love Blazing Saddles.
Love it.
Blazing Saddles, example of a movie I didn't like when I first saw it, and then now I love it.
Nice.
When I saw it first, I was like 8. Did not get it.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Too young.
I saw it when I was young.
And then, actually, the day after Gene Wilder died, they played it in theaters, so I went by myself to this theater and just sat and watched Blazing Saddles and just loved it to pieces. Oh, that movie. Gene Wilder, man.
Gene Wilder. We should do like
rip. Let's do a Gene Wilder episode.
I don't know if I've seen enough Gene. I've seen like a handful.
I grew up on Haunted Honeymoon of all things. Just watching that movie over and over
Never saw
again.
that one. Silver Streak. See that one?
I have not seen that one.
Him and who's his best bud?
John Candy?
No. Oh, it's gonna bug the crud out of me. Move on.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Gilda Radner?
It's like no, it's him and his. I'll get it in 3 seconds.
Yeah. I'm going to kick myself, probably.
Richard Pryor,
Oh,
dude.
yeah, of course. Richard Pryor.
My
yeah.
God.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Them together, dude.
Yeah.
Is just... It's the culmination.
I love it.
The culmination, like, more so than Butch and Sundance is like Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Blazing Saddles, Blazing Saddles actually might be a good inroad to talk about what we're going to talk about next. We've
Sure.
been dancing around the main issue of kind of this thing in Westerns. This will be kind of the last main topic here. And I admit that probably Michael Huber and myself are not the most equipped to discuss this kind of topic, but sort of issues of race and stuff like that. And to me, Blazing Saddles obviously is tackling this issue head on. But just like the relationship between Gene Wilder's character and the sheriff character of Blazing Saddles, and unfortunately I don't remember the actor's name right now, but is so good because like they're both conspirators on the same side of just this racist town, this backwards town. And obviously that's what the movie's about, but just like the performances in that movie, how they're just friends, and like the issue of race for the two of them never comes into it. And I love the portrayal that they both have in that. It's so, I don't know. Yeah. I really like it.
I haven't seen it in way too long.
Yeah, it's a funny movie.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder, man. But yeah, Morgan Mahala says, not to be a buzzkill, but what are your thoughts on Westerns vilifying Native Americans and Hispanics while casting a white protagonist in spite of fact that the majority of real cowboys were black and Latino? In recent years, movies like Wind River, Hostiles, The Revenant have tried to, in part, address this topic, and they're curious about our thoughts. Samuel Cardwell, responding to that, said, one quick thought is that a lot of classic Westerns also wrestled with some of these issues, not necessarily in a stereotypical cowboys versus Indians movies, which honestly we rarely see repeated these days, not least because they tended to be pretty low grade. But in films like The Searchers or Giant, we wouldn't necessarily deal with these issues the same way now, but I don't think we can write off older films as completely thoughtless, which is an interesting thought because, like, obviously, like, you know, the old saying, like, oh, it was a different time. But, like, The Searchers specifically is such an interesting case because, like I said before, it doesn't paint Ethan in a good light. And it doesn't make being absurdly racist seem good or appealing, at least in my memory. And hopefully I'm remembering it correctly. But, yeah, like, definitely these movies have had a history of othering races other than white people.
That's why I think Dances with Wolves is such a friggin' masterpiece, because it just like puts a soldier in with the Native Americans,
and like necessarily the hero of that is a white man. And like sometimes you get like into the sort of side trope of this is like the white savior kind of thing, which someone mentioned, I think. But I don't know if that movie does that necessarily, but like
Last of the Mohicans, I think of.
A
couple movies that, you know, I like when they do that, when they like embrace the Native Americans. I don't want to see any of that, like bullying them or slaughtering them or whatever it may be. But I think, you know, it like how do you handle that? You know, like with movies in the past, you know, you just said like, you know, the old saying of like, well, it was a different time, and like, like Hollywood was a little sketchy back then with all of the portrayals. I mean, like, so like, do we just accept it and move on, or do we condemn it all? Or
I think, I mean, to a certain extent, you can view these things as like historical documents. You know, like sometimes these older films, I can't think of a cogent example right now, but like sometimes they're just bad and racist. But other times it seems like they were trying to tackle it. You know, and sometimes they're taking the easy way out, where it's like in some of these movies, like you could replace Native Americans with like werewolves or something, and like with the way that they treat, like they're not even human in these movies.
They just come out.
It's just like, oh, here they are, like to fight us, and it's just like, okay. Back to the Future Part 3 actually is not super great about Native American representation now that I think about it. Wind River is an interesting example to me because Wind River, obviously this character, it's a realistic portrayal of this white man, you know, who had his ex-wife Native American, so he's adjacent to the culture, dealing with these reservations and stuff like that. And it's an interesting thing because I think that the movie handles it really well in an interesting way, but it's also kind of interesting because it's like his character could have been female, like they could have swapped that and it wouldn't have changed anything, you know, and like you know, he could have just been Native American also. Like it didn't need, it was, I don't know. It's interesting.
Is it because they need a star like Jeremy Renner to?
Unfortunately, I think a lot whether or not that is true, I think that is the studio excuse for this kind of like whitewash casting. Not saying that I don't know what Wind River necessarily was based on, but like I think there's a book, right? I haven't read it. I don't know, but like Scarlett Johansson or whoever playing like Asian
Sheridan.
people or whatever. Oh, okay.
I think he just wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the excuse a lot of times in Hollywood is like, oh yeah, we have to cast big names or it won't get made. And I'm like, there are big names that aren't white also.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I like, you know, where like we're kind of heading now, like Star Wars and other franchises are at least taking the steps of, you know, shaking things up, mixing it up a little bit. But like, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like fully equipped to discuss issues of this kind. I don't feel like I haven't lived it, so I don't know necessarily. But yeah, I definitely think older movies clearly are older movies.
Yes.
And current movies are trying, you know, baby steps.
Exactly. Seems to be better now.
We're trending in the right direction.
Like Dances with Wolves was the
hopefully.
90s.
Right.
You know, that's not too long ago.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, like watching Friends is like, ugh,
dude,
sometimes.
every episode of Friends is like
baby.
a weird joke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Not, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. We don't have the answers. We just kind of hope that things trend in the right direction. And there are other people. I mean, you could do like Tokyo Slim, I think, said like you could do a college course on some of this stuff, and
Totally.
I did. But like,
it's crazy that there's not many from their perspective, you know, from like the Native American perspective. Or like that are like big. I think of Last of the Mohicans, and I think of Dances with Wolves, and of course there's other movies, but like those are definitely the two biggest like tentpole classics.
Yeah. Which is like
Hostiles, though.
Oh,
glad
I
they
didn't
brought
watch
that up.
Hostiles.
Yeah, glad they brought that up.
Is that good?
Sick.
Is it well done?
Yeah. You know, a lot of westerns are slow moving. But
Yeah, sure.
So.
Is that a series or a movie?
Movie.
Okay.
Christian Bale.
Yeah. I saw the billboards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a subject worth grappling with. I mean, that's why, like, to me, I kind of wish Wind River. I wish Jeremy Renner had been like part of the Native American community or something like that. And I mean, I do think that Wind River, specifically, that was part of the story that Sheridan was telling. Was like this outsider who is trying to embrace this culture that isn't his, you know, and like that friction there. And I do appreciate that that's like, it was an interesting thing, but it is kind of adjacent to stories that we've heard so many times that I'm ready. Like I would rather just hear, you know, the flip of that maybe. But I think Wind River was a good movie. I liked it.
Totally.
And yeah, that one does not, like, white people are not painted in a great light in that movie. No. Like,
Nope.
Yeah, the bad guys are just monster people.
Yeah, they are.
And I believe all white, if I remember. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, probably.
Dude, the escalation of that
Oh,
movie.
my God.
Like 0 to 100.
Wind River is intense.
0 to
It's
100.
Very intense movie. Which, again, raises questions of depictions on screen of sexual abuse and stuff like that. And it's like, that's a whole other situation that, again, probably we're not the people to maybe.
And from my, like, lack of knowledge of these issues, anytime, like, Last of the Mohicans, dude, Daniel Day-Lewis, like, I'm behind the guy, you know, or in this case, Wind River, Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
I really like him. I feel like his heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give the movie, you know, a shot and watch it.
Sure.
I think all I can do, like, per movie is kind of see who's involved with it and feel it out, you know? It's like there's no real right answer. It's just kind of how it feels. Like, if it feels like they're being sketchy and you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Malicious in their portrayals, I guess.
Right.
Then I'm going to distance myself, but you know, Taylor Sheridan has a good rep
record, and we're seeing, like, as the slow march of time progresses, you know, we are seeing more female filmmakers rising to prominence, screenwriters, producers, and I mean, I think these things are only just fantastic. So, like, Yeah, I think time. You know, I wouldn't be surprised in a few years if we do have blockbuster film Western maybe with a Native American protagonist, you know, or whatever. And I'm sure there exist many that we haven't talked about it. Yeah, but like, I don't know. It's a sticky wicket, as things are.
Like PhD professors have lived their whole lives talking about these issues. You know,
and like, if there were an easy answer, we would have fixed it by now, I guess. And society is just a complicated machine filled with nightmare cogs.
Yeah. Well, the West, America's past.
America is. I wonder if that's kind of to take it back to Westerns on the whole. I wonder if that's part of the romanticism of Westerns.
Trying to make it beautiful, cover it up.
Well, and also to acknowledge it, to shine a light on it. Because like, if you look at America as a Western protagonist, America is a very morally gray anti-hero on the global stage.
We're the Punisher.
Now. Like,
America's the Punisher.
Like, and like over the years we've been evil. We've tried to redeem ourselves. I would say we probably, on the whole, are, you know.
It's like The Good Place, dude. More coins in the positive side than the bad side.
I don't even know.
Like World War II.
But like, I think
that's a lot of coinage.
Yeah. Like if we were. Yeah.
Except we waited like a little while.
Yeah. We didn't come in.
We're getting into crazy issues right now.
Yeah, we didn't step in until we got slapped in the face and whatever. But this is kind of a fun metaphor. I think that if we zoom back and look at a grand scale of just global history, America sort of is this like insane gunslinger that's like kind of racist, sort of problematic, comes in and like fixes an issue here, then leaves, comes in there. And I wonder if our end will be like Shane or Ethan in The Searchers,
Redemption.
where we have no choice but to just kind of recede into the sunset and go our own way and disappear. Oh my God. Is that what we deserve?
Oh my God.
Oh no. We're getting into territory beyond our scope here.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's interesting though, we went there. I like it.
Yeah. I've never thought of America in that light before, but it sort of fits.
Yeah.
We're a deranged Mad Max gunslinger.
We're Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven.
Yeah, we're the Wild Bunch. we're bad men. But we're not them. I don't know who them is in this argument because I don't like the us versus them thing, but I was just quoting Red Dead. But we're bad men anyway.
We're bad men, but we're not them.
Yeah,
dude,
Arthur Morgan. But in that case, anywho, westerns.
You gotta talk about those issues. So I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
Like
and
honestly,
I mean,
like we screwed the Native Americans, dude.
Oh.
Like.
Good Lord.
Like, how can you not?
America is founded on
blood
and theft and pain and fear and hate and slavery and
that's why a lot of the characters in Westerns, it's either we follow a sheriff or like a farmer or an outlaw.
Yeah.
You know, there's like so many bad characters
and like
in so many of these Westerns.
There is that sense of kind of like white guilt going back through Westerns. I think there's like a vein of that fool's gold running through Westerns for a while back. Maybe not in the earliest of classical Westerns, but I do think that it's there. And it's interesting. It's a part of it, and it's a part of the history, and it's a part of these films. And it's a story that's probably been told enough for my taste now. Like, let's hear other perspectives, but I really like Westerns as a genre, and I think that
they make me think about all this stuff.
Right.
Like,
and in that way, they're hugely important, I think. And just like filmmaking wise, like you said, they're beautiful. They're deliberately paced oftentimes. The editing has kind of a different feel. I like that in Westerns because the form often is the function too. Like the pacing and the shooting style and stuff evokes the period. And I think that that's really a cool thing that film can do as an art form is embody a genre and a time period just in everything, in the mise en scène, the cinematography, the sound, the lighting, the pacing, the editing, everything about this art form can do that.
Yeah.
and I think that's phenomenal.
I imagine the Earth in like 800 years when it's just been taken over by like mega cities, Dread style, and it's like, where are we gonna film the westerns, dude? Where are we gonna film them? We're running out of space.
There will be a you'll go to the Westworld theme park and then film it over there. We did not mention Westworld until right now.
Westworld.
Ugh. Westworld.
Aaron Paul, season 3.
Really? Really?
Yep.
Huh. He'll fit
It's
in.
gonna make me watch season 2 now because I like Aaron Paul so much.
Did you watch season 1?
Yeah.
Westworld, dude.
I was bored of it.
Yeah. Westworld, here's the thing.
Like when you're purposefully obtuse and cryptic, man, it's 2018. Nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, I would.
I'm sorry.
If I had a message for Westworld, I would say eschew obfuscation, guys.
I don't get it.
It means it's a joke. It means avoid making things unnecessarily hard to understand.
Okay. Yes. That.
But in a way that's really hard to understand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Westworld is needlessly obtuse, and probably each season is 4 episodes longer than it should be. Also, it does one of the cardinal sins that I think bores me in media is when it's like, we all know you're heading here.
Yeah.
Why take a whole first season to get there? Like Westworld, episode 3 of season 1 should have been the robots uprising. Probably.
We knew, dude.
Like we knew it was gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen. Yeah. Well, and if you've just even heard of the subject matter, like the source material, like there are a lot of really cool things in Westworld. I do agree that it's languidly paced and needlessly labyrinthian. Yeah. Like no real need to tell it in 4 different time periods for no reason. Like I get that it heightens the mystery, but it's like pointless J.J. Abrams mystery box crap, and it's just irritating sometimes.
Alias, dude, mystery box.
But it does. Having seen season 2 all the way through, like there are some fun moral quandaries that it raises.
Cool.
But by and large, it's 80% longer than it needs to be.
It's a lot.
It's like these questions aren't that complex, guys. Just say them. But whatever. Westworld. Anyway, we've gone on for a very long time.
Very long time. We've taken a deep dive into the history of America.
And probably we got a lot of stuff wrong. I'm sorry if we said or did anything that was off kilter or whatever.
Just go into each issue and
we're we mostly talk about video games and make weird shows, we just kind of are who we are, and we're going to try our best. But thank you so much for listening or watching along with us here on this bizarre journey into the West. What should we do next month?
I don't know. I got a quote for you, though.
Oh, you got a quote challenge. Let's do it.
Clap your hands as fast as you can.
I mean, it makes me think of Safety Dance, because I think they say that in that. It sounds familiar. What is that?
The Magnificent Seven.
Oh. Yeah. I can't get "I'll be your huckleberry" out of my head. But you know what that's.
I'm your huckleberry.
Yeah, I'm your huckleberry.
Dude, Michael Biehn in that movie.
Johnny
Ringo.
Yeah. Michael Biehn, dude, such a nut job.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ringo. Dude, if
Rango's funny movie.
If you made your Arthur Morgan like Johnny Ringo from Tombstone, tell us in the comments.
Yeah. Mine is like a Clark Gable kind of thing. I've got him rocking the pencil mustache. I love it. He looks like him. I think a clean shaven, just pencil mustache. Okay, I've got a quote. Should have come to me first. I'd let you fall down for free.
Back to the Future Part 3. Damn it, I don't know.
Maverick.
Angel
says it
dude.
when he finds out that Maverick paid those guys to take a fall.
That's
in that
right.
Fight.
That's right.
And then he's like, you should have come to me first. I'd have let you fall down for free. And then he beats the crap out of him.
So good.
That movie's absurd. My shirt's damaged. Damn it. It's like when he gets like that scuff on his shirt. Yeah. This comes from Paris, France, lady. He's such like a douchebag in that movie. Oh, anywho.
Love Jodie Foster.
I love Jodie Foster. Panic Room. I recently watched Panic Room the other day.
Nice.
It's a good movie.
It's good.
I remember being like mad
Stewart.
about it the first time, and this time I was like, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
David Fincher though. I love David. Oh, a David Fincher Western dude. Can you imagine?
It would look amazing.
It would be incredible.
Yeah.
Let's all tweet at David Fincher and say, make a Western, please.
Make a Western. Please make a Western.
Please make a Western. Oh, I would watch the hell out of that.
I want it.
It would take place like 80% at night, probably.
Yep.
In the rain.
Like, think like,
what would he do? That'd be crazy.
It's like,
there's something about like the way, I mean, obviously it's been talked about to death the way he shoots movies, but the color of his movies are so good usually. Yeah.
Has Spielberg ever done a Western?
Spielberg? I feel like he was involved with Silverado somehow, but maybe that's just me being crazy. I think he's directed one, maybe.
It's like Nolan is British.
Hook is basically
I'd rather have Nolan do like a Bond movie than a Western.
Didn't he want to do a Bond movie? Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I like Daniel Craig. I would see Idris Elba as a Bond.
World's sexiest man. How is he not James Bond, dude? Come on.
Because the estate's like he's not black.
Come on.
Whatever.
Idris Elba as Bond, please.
Yeah. I like Idris Elba a lot.
Please. I'm begging. I'm begging it.
I want to see David Fincher. David Fincher, Western, darkly humorous buddy outlaw movie with Idris Elba and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
All right.
As cowboys.
Let's go.
I would watch
Sign me up.
Hell out of this.
Sign me up.
All
Dude,
right.
Steve McQueen could actually do a Western for real.
Yeah.
Dude.
This episode's never going to stop.
It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. We're moving on.
We'll come up with a topic for next month later.
Yeah, something.
But it'll be great.
What should we do? This
December.
is for November, so Christmas movies.
We've already done Christmas.
Oh.
Christmas is uninteresting to me.
Yeah. All right. How about...
The Gene Wilder idea is interesting, but we'd have to watch like so many movies to prepare.
I know. How about...
I'm not confident in my catalog.
Yeah. Thinking like something too broad, just like
Jolly.
watching movies during the holidays is always like so cozy, you know? And like Thanksgiving, they always have like marathons of movies and Twilight Zone and stuff.
I like that. Cozy. Coziest movies.
Yeah, like what do you like holidays are coming around, you know, people are off work and school, hanging out with family, you have more time than usual. What do you throw on?
Yeah.
Like
we've done movies that wrecked us. Let's do movies that heal us.
Movies that heal us.
Cozy vibes, jolly
Love
movies.
Love it.
Yes. Feel good hits.
Yep. I'm down.
Of the winter.
The winter wonderland.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like you're going to get some Princess Bride.
Oh yeah.
Some Die Hard again.
Some Clueless.
Clueless, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Galaxy Quest.
Yep.
Probably the Back to the Futures.
Yep. Speed.
Yep. Oh, that'll be a good episode. All right. Movies, cozy movies, good vibes, movies that healed us.
Yep.
Next month on Reaction Shots. Please be excited. I'll post the topic for that a week or two before we shoot. So if you're in the $7 and up tier on Patreon, you're in the film club, you'll get to join in on our discussion. That's where I pull these wonderful comments from. We've got some regulars and some new faces. Love it every month to read what you guys have to say. I try to get something from everybody in there. I apologize if I didn't get everyone. I think I missed one or two this month. But yeah, it's a great discussion. People talk to each other. It's really cool.
Yeah.
That's on patreon.com/easyallies. That's how we are. That's how we live.
Yep.
Michael Huber, myself, and the 7 others.
Mm-hmm.
Is that math right? Yeah.
Because of all of you.
Because of all of you. Because of beautiful patrons and Twitch subscribers. That's how we subsist. That's how we exist.
Metal Gear Solid subsistence.
I thought of it too.
Every time.
Most of the time we talk about video games. Not all the time. This is our movie podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about other stuff. I do a weird show every week. Huber has a weird show every week. You mostly talk about, well, you don't always talk about video games.
Usually.
And
movies and TV.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we're Easy Allies. Thank you again for joining us this month. Next month, cozy vibes. For Christmas, for December. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.